Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the USS Liberty, watching the stars grow brighter through the massive viewing window. After 18 months of traveling through deep space, they had finally reached their destination. The coordinates came from a strange signal Earth picked up 3 years ago. Scientists believed it was from an intelligent alien race. "Captain, we're picking up something on long-range sensors," said navigator Lisa Carter from her station. Her fingers moved quickly across the glowing controls. "It looks like a space station. It's a really big one, too." Jake walked over to her station and looked at the readings. The structure ahead was enormous, bigger than anything humans had ever built. It looked like a giant wheel spinning slowly in space, with long arms reaching out in all directions. Lights dotted its surface like tiny stars. "Any signs of weapons?" Jake asked. Chief Engineer Paul Rodriguez checked his instruments. "Nothing that looks dangerous, Captain. In fact, I'm not picking up any defensive systems at all. That's really strange for something this big." Amy Watson, the communications officer, suddenly looked up from her station. "Captain, I'm getting a signal. They're trying to talk to us." "Put it through," Jake ordered. The main screen flickered and showed 2 alien faces. One looked like a tall, thin human with blue skin and large black eyes. The other had green scales and a long neck. Both wore flowing robes that seemed to shimmer in the light. "Greetings, unknown vessel," said the blue-skinned alien in perfect English. "I am Ambassador Veltar of the Centauri Collective. This is High Counselor Zexani of the Andorian Republic. Welcome to Harmony Point, neutral territory of the Galactic Federation." Jake stepped forward. "I'm Captain Jake Morrison of the USS Liberty, representing Earth and humanity. We received your signal and came to make contact." The aliens looked at each other with what seemed like excitement. "Humanity," repeated Veltar. "A new species. How wonderful. Please dock at Bay 7. We have much to discuss." As the Liberty moved closer to the station, Jake felt both excited and nervous. This was humanity's first contact with alien life, and everything had to go perfectly. The ship's crew had trained for this moment for years. The docking went smoothly. Jake, Lisa, Paul, and Amy walked through the airlock into the alien station. The gravity felt normal, and the air was breathable. The walls were made of some kind of smooth, white material that seemed to glow softly. Ambassador Veltar and High Counselor Zexani waited for them in a large, round room. Several other aliens stood behind them, all different species, but all wearing the same peaceful expressions. "Welcome to our humble station," said Zexani, his voice sounding like a gentle hiss. "We are so pleased to meet a new species. The Federation always welcomes peaceful races." "Thank you," Jake replied. "We're honored to be here. Earth is very interested in joining the galactic community." Veltar smiled, showing small white teeth. "Excellent. But first, we must complete the standard procedures. All new species must undergo technology inspection. This ensures that no harmful devices enter Federation space." Jake felt a small chill run down his spine. "Technology inspection." "Oh yes," said Zexani cheerfully. "The sacred technology accords ban all advanced weaponry in Federation space. We have lived in peace for over 300 years because of these laws. No species may possess tools of war." Amy leaned close to Jake and whispered, "Captain, should we tell them about our defensive systems?" Before Jake could answer, Veltar continued, "Your ship will be scanned by our inspection teams. They will catalog all technology and remove any items that violate Federation law. Do not worry, this is standard procedure for all new members." "What exactly do you consider weapons?" Paul asked carefully. "Any device designed to harm another being or damage property," replied Veltar. "Energy weapons, explosive devices, defensive shields, anything that could be used for violence. The Federation learned long ago that such things only lead to suffering." Jake's heart began to beat faster. The Liberty carried plasma cannons, quantum torpedoes, and powerful defensive shields. By Federation standards, his ship was a floating weapons platform. "I think there might be a misunderstanding," Jake said slowly. Our ship carries defensive equipment for protection during long space voyages. We didn't know about your laws." Aliens looked puzzled. "Defensive equipment?" asked Zexani. "What could you possibly need to defend against in empty space?" "Pirates, hostile aliens, asteroid fields, solar flares," Lisa explained. "Space can be dangerous." Veltar and Zexani exchanged worried glances. "You have encountered hostile species?" Veltar asked. "Not yet," Jake admitted. "But we prepare for possibilities." An hour later, the inspection team returned from the Liberty. The lead inspector, a gray-skinned alien with 4 arms, whispered urgently to Veltar and Zexani. Faces grew pale as they listened. "Captain Morrison," Veltar said, his voice shaking slightly, "we need to discuss your ship's equipment in private." They moved to a smaller room away from the other aliens. Veltar activated a device that made the walls glow brighter. "Your ship," Zexani began, "carries weapons more advanced than anything we have seen in 3 centuries. Your plasma cannons could destroy our largest battleships. Your quantum torpedoes could crack a moon. Your shields could withstand the combined firepower of entire fleets." "Those are just standard Earth military designs," Paul said. "Every exploration ship carries them." "Military designs," Veltar repeated, the words seeming to stick in his throat. "You still have a military?" "Of course," Jake replied. "How else would we protect ourselves?" The 2 aliens looked at each other in growing horror. "Captain Morrison," Veltar said carefully, "when we detected your signal, we assumed you were a peaceful species like ourselves. We thought you had evolved beyond the need for violence." "We're peaceful," Amy insisted. "We just believe in being prepared." "But you carry weapons that could destroy entire civilizations," Zexani whispered. "In Federation space, such things have been banned since the end of the Zephyrian Wars. We learned that advanced weapons only lead to destruction." Jake began to understand the problem. "You're saying the entire Federation is unarmed?" Yes, Veltar nodded. "We have maintenance ships, cargo vessels, and exploration craft, but no weapons, no shields, no military." "How do you defend yourselves?" Lisa asked. "From what?" Zexani replied. "There are no threats in Federation space. We have peace." Looked confused. "But what if someone attacks you?" "Who would attack us?" Veltar asked. "All civilized species follow the Accords." Jake felt a cold realization wash over him. "You're afraid of us? Should we not be?" Zexani asked quietly. "Your single ship carries enough firepower to conquer our entire sector, and you say this is normal for your people." "We would never conquer anyone," Jake protested. "We came here in peace." "But you could," Veltar said. "That is what terrifies us. For 300 years, we have lived without fear because no one could harm us. Now we discover a species that never learned to abandon the tools of war." The room fell silent. Jake realized that everything had gone wrong. Instead of joining a peaceful galactic community, humanity had accidentally become the most feared species in the galaxy. Outside the small room, alarms began to sound throughout the station. Red lights flashed, and alien voices spoke rapidly in their own languages. Jake could see other aliens running past the door, their faces filled with panic. "What's happening?" Amy asked. Veltar looked at his communication device, his face growing even paler. "Emergency sessions are being called on every Federation world. News of your arrival is spreading. Our people are frightened. We never meant to scare anyone," Jake said. "We know," Zexani replied sadly. "But intention does not change. Capability. Your species possesses the power to destroy everything we have built. Whether you choose to use it or not, the threat exists." Jake looked at his crew, seeing his own worry reflected in their faces. They had come to the stars seeking friendship, and found only fear. Somehow humanity's greatest strength had become their greatest weakness. The first contact that was supposed to bring peace had instead brought terror to an entire galaxy. Admiral Karen Phillips stood in the command center of the USS Constitution, watching her fleet emerge from hyperspace. 3 massive ships appeared alongside her flagship, the USS Independence, the USS Defiance, and the USS Ranger. Each vessel carried a full crew and enough firepower to defend an entire star system. "Admiral, we're receiving a message from the Liberty," reported Lieutenant Commander Pete Wilson from the communication station. "Captain Morrison requests immediate assistance." "Put him through," Karen ordered. Captain Morrison's face appeared. On the main screen, he looked tired and worried. "Admiral Phillips, the situation here is more complicated than we thought. The aliens want to disarm our ships completely. They're treating us like invaders." "Explain," Karen said firmly. "The Galactic Federation banned all weapons 300 years ago. They think our defensive systems make us a threat to their entire civilization. They want us to surrender our technology or leave their space." Karen frowned. "Are they threatening us?" "Not directly, but they're scared, really scared. Our single ship has them calling emergency meetings across their entire government." Behind Karen, Commander Steve Collins stepped forward. He was the head of diplomatic security for the fleet, a man who had spent years studying alien cultures. "Admiral, something doesn't feel right about this. If they're so peaceful, why are they trying to force us to disarm?" "What do you mean?" Karen asked. "Truly peaceful people would try to understand us first, not immediately demand we give up our defenses. This feels more like fear than wisdom." On the screen, Morrison nodded. Collins might be right. "The aliens keep whispering to each other when they think we're not watching, and I've noticed something else. There are a lot more ships around the station now than when we first arrived." Karen made her decision. "We're coming in. All ships. Maintain standard defensive posture, but do not power weapons unless directly threatened." As the human fleet approached Harmony Point, the differences between the two civilizations became clear. The Federation ships were large but looked more like flying cities than military vessels. They had smooth curves, bright colors, and no visible weapons. The human ships were sleek, dark, and clearly built for war. Commander Collins watched the alien vessels through his binoculars. "Admiral, look at their formation, trying to surround us, but they're staying far away. That's not how you greet peaceful visitors. Keep monitoring their movements," Karen ordered. "I want to know if they're planning something." Dr. Linda Hayes, the fleet's chief scientist, looked up from her instruments. "Admiral, I'm picking up massive energy signatures from the Federation ships. They're powering up systems I don't recognize." "Weapons?" Karen asked. "I don't think so. The energy patterns are all wrong for weapons. It looks more like they're charging communication systems and engines, like they're getting ready to run." The human fleet docked at Harmony Point without incident, but Karen noticed the tension immediately. Alien workers moved quickly through the corridors, carrying boxes and equipment. It looked like they were packing. Ambassador Veltar and High Counselor Zexani met the human delegation in the same room where Morrison had first encountered them. But now they were joined by dozens of other aliens, all wearing official robes and carrying data tablets. Admiral Phillips Veltar began, his voice shaking slightly. "Thank you for coming. We have prepared an offer for your people. I'm listening." Karen replied. Zexani activated a holographic display that showed a map of the galaxy. A small section in one corner glowed blue. "The Federation Council has voted to offer humanity this sector of space. It contains 12 habitable worlds and enough resources for your civilization to grow." Karen looked at the map. "It's very generous, but what's the catch?" "All human vessels must be immediately disarmed," Veltar said. "Your weapons technology must be surrendered to Federation authorities for disposal. Your ships will be modified to meet Federation safety standards." "And if we refuse?" Karen asked. "Then you must leave Federation space immediately and never return," Zexani replied. Commander Collins stepped forward. "You're giving us an ultimatum?" "We'd prefer to think of it as a choice," Veltar said. "Join our peaceful community by abandoning violence, or remain isolated in your own space." Karen felt anger building inside her. "You're treating us like criminals for being able to defend ourselves. Can you not see our position?" Zexani pleaded. "Your 4 ships carry more destructive power than our entire civilization possesses. How can we trust you?" "Because we came here in peace," Karen said firmly. "We haven't threatened anyone or demanded anything from you. Your very existence is a threat," Veltar replied. "As long as you possess such weapons, our people will live." In fear, Dr. Hayes had been quietly studying the alien data tablets. Now she looked up with concern. Admiral, I've been analyzing their information systems. They're evacuating civilian populations from nearby star systems. What? Karen turned to face the aliens. You're evacuating your people? Veltar looked embarrassed. It is a precautionary measure. Our citizens are frightened of us, Collins asked. We haven't done anything threatening. You exist. Zexani said simply, that is threat enough. Karen realized the situation was spinning out of control. How long do we have to decide? 72 hours, Veltar replied. After that, Federation security forces will escort you from our space. Security forces? Karen raised an eyebrow. I thought you didn't have weapons. We have 10,000. Ships, Zexani said proudly. Cargo vessels, transport ships, mining craft. They may not be designed for war, but together they represent the combined will of 47 civilizations. Commander Collins tried not to smile. 10,000 unarmed ships against 4 military vessels. Numbers matter, Veltar insisted. We may be peaceful, but we are not helpless. After the meeting, Karen gathered her senior officers in a secure conference room aboard the Constitution. Captain Gary Johnson of the USS Defiance attended via video link, along with Captain Lisa Brown of the USS Independence and Captain Matt Clark of the USS Ranger. This is insane, Johnson said bluntly. They want us to disarm completely and then trust them to protect us. That's not how the real world works. They seem to think it is, Captain Brown replied. Their entire civilization is based on the idea that weapons are unnecessary. Collins pulled up his security reports. I've been monitoring their communications. They're not just evacuating civilians. They're also moving what few defensive systems they have into position around our ships. Defensive systems? Karen asked. I thought they were completely disarmed, mostly Collins replied. But they have some old mining lasers and industrial equipment that could be weaponized. It's nothing that could hurt our ships, but they're trying. Dr. Hayes looked up from her analysis. Admiral, I found something interesting in their historical records. This Federation wasn't always peaceful. 300 years ago, they fought something called the Zephyrian Wars. Those conflicts were so devastating that they banned all weapons afterward. What were they fighting? Karen asked. The records are unclear, but it seems like they were attacked by someone with superior technology. The wars ended suddenly, and immediately afterward, all Federation species agreed to disarm completely. Captain? Clark leaned forward. That doesn't sound like they chose peace. It sounds like they were forced into it. Exactly what I was thinking, Collins agreed. This isn't enlightenment. This is trauma. Karen made her decision. We're not disarming. Send a message to Earth Command. Tell them we need diplomatic backup, and possibly military reinforcement. Admiral Dr. Hayes said quietly, there's something else. Long-range sensors are picking up strange energy signatures from outside Federation space. Something big is moving in the dark areas between star systems.
How big?
Karen asked. Ship-sized, but the readings don't match any known technology. Whatever it is, it's been hiding out there for a long time. Collins looked worried. Admiral, what if the Federation's fear isn't really about us? What if they're afraid of something else, and our arrival just reminded them that dangerous things exist? Before Karen could answer, alarms began sounding throughout the station. Emergency lights flashed, and alien voices spoke rapidly over the communication system. Captain Morrison's voice came through their communicators. Admiral, you need to see this. Federation just moved Captain Jake Morrison and 3 of my crew to a secure location. They're calling it protective custody, but it looks like house arrest to me. Karen felt her blood run cold. They took hostages. It appears so, Morrison replied. They seem to think this will make you more willing to negotiate. Collins shook his head. They really don't understand humans at all, do they? Karen stood up, her face grim. No, they don't. Taking our people prisoner isn't going to make us surrender. It's going to make us fight. Outside the conference room. Windows. The Federation's 10,000 ships began moving into attack formation. It looked impressive, spread across space like a metal constellation. But Karen knew that in 72 hours, those ships would learn the difference between quantity and quality. The countdown to confrontation had begun. Fleet Commander Kexton stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the massive Federation armada assemble around the human ships. 10,000 vessels stretched across space in all directions. Cargo haulers, passenger liners, mining ships, and research vessels had all been called to service. None were built for war, but their sheer numbers made an impressive sight. "Commander, all ships report ready," announced his aide, a young Centauri named Velkas. "The humans are completely surrounded." Kexton nodded, feeling confident despite his nervousness. He'd never commanded a military operation before because the Federation had not needed one in 3 centuries. But the math seemed simple. 10,000 ships against 4 had to be enough, even if the human vessels were more advanced. "Send a message to the human admiral," Kexton ordered. "Remind her that she has 24 hours left to accept our terms aboard the USS Constitution." Admiral Phillips received the message with cold anger. The Federation had moved Captain Morrison and his crew to a location they would not reveal. They called it protection, but everyone knew it was really a threat. "Admiral, Earth Command is responding to our request," reported Commander Wilson. "Admiral Nancy Stone is bringing the 3rd Fleet, but they won't arrive for 6 days." 6 days. "Too late," Phillips muttered. She turned to Commander Collins. "Any luck finding our people?" Collins shook his head. "The station has too many levels and sections. They could be anywhere. But I did discover something interesting. The Federation. Leaders are having heated arguments among themselves." "About what?" "Some want to attack us immediately. Others want to negotiate more. And a few are saying we should be left alone completely." Dr. Hayes looked up from her research station. "Admiral, I've been studying their ship designs. These vessels aren't even remotely military. Their hulls are thin, their power systems are designed for cargo handling, and they have no weapons at all." "Not even mining lasers?" Phillips asked. "A few, but they're so weak they couldn't cut through our outer armor plating." "Admiral, this isn't going to be a battle. It's going to be a massacre if shooting starts." Phillips felt sick. She had spent her career protecting humanity, not slaughtering peaceful aliens. But the Federation had made their choice when they took hostages. "Keep trying to reach Captain Morrison," she ordered. "And prepare all ships for defensive action only." "We don't. Shoot first." Meanwhile, on Harmony Point, Captain Morrison sat in a comfortable room with Lisa Carter, Paul Rodriguez, and Amy Watson. The aliens had given them good food and entertainment systems, but the doors were locked and guards stood outside. "This is really stupid of them," Paul said, pacing back and forth. "Hey, don't they realize that taking prisoners will just make our people angry?" "I don't think they understand human psychology at all," Lisa replied. "They seem to think we'll trade our weapons for our friends." Amy was listening at the door. "The guards are talking about something. I can't understand all of it, but they keep saying numbers. 10,000 something?" Morrison felt worried. 10,000 ships, maybe. "They're planning to attack our people with 10,000 ships?" "Admiral Phillips will never surrender," Paul said firmly. "She'll fight her way through. All of them if she has to." "That's what I'm afraid of," Morrison replied quietly. Dr. Helen Murphy. The Liberty's xenobiologist had been allowed to continue her research under guard. She was studying Federation historical records when she made a shocking discovery. "This can't be right," she whispered to herself, reading the ancient files. The record spoke of a species called the hegemony that had ruled Federation space 300 years ago. According to the documents, the hegemony had forced all other species to disarm completely, but the records were strange. The hegemony hadn't conquered through war. It had simply arrived, demonstrated overwhelming power, and demanded submission. Every species had given up their weapons rather than face destruction. Then, suddenly, the hegemony had vanished. A number. Explanation was given. They had simply left one day and never returned. The Federation species had been so traumatized by the experience that they had kept themselves disarmed ever since. Guard Helen called to the alien watching her. "I need to speak with Ambassador Veltar immediately. This is very important." 20 minutes later, Veltar arrived looking annoyed. "Dr. Murphy, you should be resting, not making demands. I've found Something in your records about the hegemony, Helen said. The species that made you disarm 300 years ago? Veltar's face went pale. Those records are classified. How did you access them? Your computer gave me research permissions. Listen, the hegemony didn't just disappear, did they? You're still afraid they might come back. Veltar sat down heavily. We do not speak of the hegemony. They are gone. But you're not sure, Helen pressed. That's why you're so afraid of weapons. You're not afraid of conquest. You're afraid of being helpless again. You do not understand, Veltar said, his voice shaking. The hegemony could destroy entire star systems with single ships. They made our greatest weapons look like children's toys. We survive because we are not threats to anyone. But what if they do come back? Helen asked. What if someone else comes who isn't as nice as humans? You'd be completely defenseless. You would hide, as we always have, Veltar replied. It's better to live as servants than die as warriors. Helen stared at him. That's not living. That's just surviving. Back on the Constitution, tensions were rising. The Federation deadline was 12 hours away, and their ships were moving closer. Admiral Phillips called a meeting with all her captains. The situation is clear, she began. They have our people, they're demanding our surrender, and they have us outnumbered 2,000 to 1? Recommendations? Captain Johnson spoke first. We fight. We can't let them think taking hostages works. If we give in now, every alien species we meet will try the same thing. Captain Brown disagreed. Admiral, these aren't evil aliens. They're scared. Maybe we can find another way. Like what? Captain Clark asked. They won't listen to reason. They think we're monsters just because we can defend ourselves. Commander Collins had been quiet, but now he spoke up. Admiral, what if this isn't really about us? Dr. Hayes found those strange energy readings outside Federation space. What if something else is coming, and our arrival just reminded them of old fears? Before Phillips could answer, alarms sounded throughout the ship. Dr. Hayes ran to her instruments. Admiral, long-range sensors are detecting massive movement in dark space. Whatever those ships are, they're heading this way fast. How fast? Phillips asked. They'll be here in 18 hours, Hayes replied. And Admiral, there are hundreds of them, maybe thousands. Phillips felt a chill run down her spine. Are they Federation ships? No, the energy signatures are completely different, more advanced than anything we've ever seen. On his flagship, Fleet Commander Kexthon received the same sensor readings. His face went white as he studied the data. Sir, Velkas asked nervously, should we investigate these contacts? His hands were shaking. Signal all ships. Emergency retreat to home systems. And send a priority message to the Federation Council. Tell them the hegemony is returned, sir. Velkas looked confused. Who is the hegemony? Our former masters, Kexthon replied quietly. The ones we hoped never to see again. Across space, 10,000 Federation ships began turning away from the human fleet. The siege was ending, but not because anyone had surrendered. Something much worse was coming. Admiral Phillips watched the alien retreat with growing understanding. Commander Collins, get me a direct line to that Federation commander. I think we need to talk. About what, Admiral? Collins asked. About who the real enemy is? Phillips replied, staring at the sensor readings showing the approaching ships. I don't think the Federation has been afraid of us at all. They've been afraid of whoever is coming behind us. The mysterious fleet drew closer, and both humans and aliens began to realize that their argument was about to become completely meaningless. Something was coming that would test every assumption about peace, war, and survival in the galaxy. The dark ships appeared at the edge of the star system like a nightmare coming to life. They were massive, black as space itself, and shaped like giant knives cutting through the stars. Admiral Phillips counted over 500 vessels each, one larger than her biggest ship. Admiral, the Federation fleet is retreating at maximum speed, reported Commander Wilson. They're abandoning the station. Phillips watched the alien ships flee in all directions. 300 years of peace had not prepared them for this moment. Signal Fleet Commander Kexthon. Tell him we need to talk immediately. Within minutes, Kexton's frightened face appeared on the main screen. Admiral Phillips, you must run. Take your ships and leave this system now. We don't run from fights, Phillips replied calmly. What exactly are we facing? A hegemony, Kexton whispered. They ruled our space before the Federation existed. They forced us to disarm and then disappeared. We hoped they were gone forever. Well, they're back, Phillips observed, watching. The Dark Fleet arranged itself in perfect attack formation. What do they want? Everything, Kexton replied. They consume entire worlds for resources. They take what they need and leave nothing behind. Captain Morrison's voice came through on emergency communications. Admiral, the station is being evacuated. Our people are free, but the aliens are in complete panic. Get back to your ship, Captain, Phillips ordered. We're going to need everyone. The lead hegemony vessel, a massive ship that dwarfed even the Constitution, moved toward Harmony Point. As it approached, a deep voice echoed across all communication channels. Inferior species, the voice said, cold and emotionless. You have grown too numerous in our absence. This ends now. Submit to consumption or be destroyed. Admiral Phillips opened a channel to the entire system. This is Admiral Karen Phillips of the Human Fleet. We stand ready, ships. We stand ready to defend this system. Return and fight beside us. You cannot fight them, Kexton protested. Their weapons can destroy planets. Their shields cannot be broken. We learned this truth 300 years ago. Maybe your weapons couldn't break their shields, Phillips replied. But you never had human weapons. Captain Gary Johnson of the USS Defiance was the first to engage. His ship launched a full spread of quantum torpedoes at the nearest hegemony vessel. The weapons struck the alien ship's shields and exploded in brilliant flashes of light. Direct hits, Johnson reported. Their shields are holding, but they're definitely taking damage. The hegemony ship returned fire with a beam of pure energy that would have vaporized any Federation vessel. But the Defiance's shields absorbed the blast and held firm. Possible, came the hegemony voice, now sounding surprised. You possess defensive systems that should not exist. Admiral Phillips smiled grimly. You've been away too long. Technology advances. The battle began in earnest. Human ships darted between the massive hegemony vessels, their speed and maneuverability making them difficult targets. Every time the hegemony fired, human shields held. Every time humans attacked, hegemony shields weakened a little more. But the numbers were overwhelming. 500 enemy ships against 4 human vessels meant the humans would eventually lose through pure attrition. Captain, Morrison returned to the USS Liberty just as a group of Federation ships approached the battle. Leading them was Ambassador Veltar in a converted passenger liner. Admiral Phillips, Veltar called over the radio. God, we may not have weapons, but we can still help. Our ships can serve as shields for your vessels. Veltar, your ships can't. Survive hegemony weapons, Phillips warned. Perhaps not, Veltar replied. But we can absorb some damage and buy you time. We will not run again. More Federation ships joined the battle. They positioned themselves between human vessels and hegemony. Fire, sacrificing themselves to protect the only ships that could actually fight back. It was clumsy and desperate, but it was brave. Dr. Helen Murphy, back aboard the Liberty, made a crucial discovery while analyzing hegemony communications. Captain Morrison, I've been listening to their transmissions. They're not from our galaxy originally. They're invaders from somewhere else. What does that mean? Morrison asked while dodging enemy fire. It means they might not know this galaxy as well as they pretend, Helen replied. And it means they might have weaknesses they haven't told us about. Colonel Laura Martinez, leading the Marine assault teams, had been preparing for boarding actions. Captain, if these ships are designed for conquest, they might have central command centers that could disable entire fleets. Morrison made a decision. Admiral Phillips, requesting permission to attempt boarding action on the hegemony flagship. Morrison, that's suicide, Phillips replied. Maybe, but it's our best chance. Our shields are designed to stop energy weapons, not transport beams. Admiral Phillips looked at the tactical display. Her ships were holding their own, but barely. Federation vessels were dying to protect them, and eventually the hegemony would break through. Permission granted, she said finally, but you get one chance. The USS Liberty approached the massive Hegemony flagship, while the other human ships provided covering fire. Morrison, Martinez, and a team of Marines used the ship's transporters to beam directly into the enemy vessel. The inside of the Hegemony ship was like a mechanical nightmare. Dark corridors stretched in all directions, filled with strange humming, sounds, and flashing lights. The air was thick and hard to breathe. "This way," Martinez whispered, following readings on her scanner. The command center should be at the ship's core. They fought through automated defenses and strange robot guards, their human weapons proving effective against enemies that had not faced such technology before. Finally, they reached a massive chamber filled with glowing consoles and computer systems. At the center sat a single Hegemony being. It was tall and thin, with gray skin and multiple arms. When it saw the humans, its eyes widened in shock. "You should not exist," it said in perfect English. "Our records show this galaxy contained only weak species when we left." "You've been gone 300 years, Morrison replied, aiming his weapon. "Things change. Impossible. Evolution does not work so quickly." Martinez studied the aliens' equipment. "These aren't just ship controls. This thing is commanding the entire fleet through some kind of mental link." Morrison understood immediately. "If we take out this commander, we might disable their whole fleet." "You cannot," the Hegemony being said, but there was fear in its voice now. "We are superior. We have always been superior." "To the Federation, maybe," Morrison replied. "But we're not the Federation. We never learned to be afraid." The alien reached for a weapon, but Colonel Martinez was faster. Her plasma rifle fired once, and the Hegemony commander collapsed instantly. Every Hegemony ship in the system stopped moving. Their weapons powered down, their shields flickered, and their engines went silent. Across space, 500 massive vessels simply drifted like dead metal. "All Hegemony ships have gone dark," reported Captain Johnson with amazement. "Whatever you did over there, it worked." Admiral Phillips opened channels to the entire system. "All Federation vessels, this is Admiral Phillips. The Hegemony fleet has been disabled. The threat is over." Fleet Commander Kexton's voice came through, filled with wonder. "Admiral, how did you do what we could never accomplish?" "We never stopped believing we could fight," Phillips replied. Hours later, representatives from both sides met aboard Harmony Point. The station had been damaged in the battle, but it was still functional. Admiral Phillips sat across from Ambassador Veltar and High Counselor Zexani. "We owe you an apology," Veltar began. "We were so afraid of becoming victims again that we tried to make you victims instead." "Fear makes people do stupid things," Phillips replied. "But courage can fix mistakes. Your people saved our entire civilization," Zexani added. "How can the Federation repay such a debt?" Phillips smiled. "By learning to protect yourselves. We'll teach you how to build defenses and train your people to fight. Not for conquest, but for protection." "And in return?" Velta asked. "Friendship," Phillips said simply. "Real friendship between equals, not masters and servants." Captain Morrison entered the room with Dr. Murphy. "Admiral, we've been studying the Hegemony technology. These beings come from another galaxy entirely. They've been moving from galaxy to galaxy, consuming everything they find." "Are there more of them?" Zexani asked nervously. "Probably," Murphy replied. "But now we know they can be beaten. And next time, the galaxy will be ready." Admiral Phillips stood and walked to the viewing window. Outside, human and Federation ships worked together to secure the disabled Hegemony vessels. Former enemies had become allies in the space of a single battle. "The galaxy is going to change," she said quietly. "The Federation will learn to defend itself, and humanity will have friends among the stars. When the next threat comes, we'll face it together." Ambassador Veltar joined her at the window. "We spent 300 years running from our fears. Perhaps it is time to face them instead." "Together," Phillips agreed. In the distance, the stars shone brightly on a galaxy that had remembered the difference between peace and helplessness. The age of hiding was over. The age of standing together had begun.